My question though is now on the document management aspect. You are dealing with a huge bunch of documents and files and even your CAD files and things like that. How are you creating a common workspace, or how are you creating a space where everybody sort of knows? Are you first of all in alliance with that yes, we need something like that we need a common space where everybody on the project knows what to get where? And has it helped you become more efficient if you do follow that? Yeah.
Right.
You're muted, Ryan.
Apologies. I'm fortunately old enough to remember when we were actually doing all of this stuff on paper as our primary delivery method of the instruments of service, plans, specifications, transmittals, everything was on paper. You had multiple copies of everything and you had to physically take it or ship it somewhere, and there's time, there's effort. The time invested to manage that format doesn't work in today's environment. There's not enough time in the day to do all of that stuff while meeting your clients' expectations and schedules. So everyone to keep moving forward, everyone on the team needs information and direction to keep their path moving forward. Removing the roadblocks is really what software allows us to do and leverage that. So being able to collaborate with internal and external team members in some manner of digital platform medium, which we do use a few of, is critical to meet, like I said, schedules and expectations. Outlook, there's project management platforms which we use for scheduling projects. We use for the flow of documentation during the construction and submittal process. We have a few tools that we like to leverage when we are sort of leading that effort, the construction management process or the construction administration process. Justine, you have any thoughts on what you're seeing and using?
Yeah, I think, like you kind of said, there's just, communication between both our internal staff, our consultants, the owner, the contractor. Yeah, communication is the most important thing. And so any way that we can kind of streamline that process to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and technology is very useful for doing that, keeping us on schedule, making sure the right people are getting the right information at the key time. I think that's just essential. A lot of us, are working on multiple projects at a time. So just keeping all the stuff that we're juggling organized through technology is great.
That's good to know. That's Mike, go ahead.
We do have some automation that helps at project startup. I should talk about this. When we start a new project, it pulls a number, a project number. Once it gets to a certain phase, which is tracked, it requires a labor budget. So someone has to sit down and say, here's the people that are going to work on it, and here's how we're going to make the labor match the revenue that's projected, right? And then that gets reviewed by leadership. And then when they push the go button, that automatically creates directories for folders for all the files. It creates entries in our management systems for other things like email and populates project team members and and so a lot of those startup activities are automated, and then we use Revit 360. Is that the right term? For cloud stuff, and a lot of that is set up and ready to go right away then. So a lot of the startup and creating the spaces is done automatically for us once the labor is approved. So once we prove that we know how to at least break even.
Yeah.
then we say go.
Is that a big challenge? That is
Sometimes,
okay.
yeah, sometimes, and sometimes we don't, you know.
I think that comes down to what we kind of define as the 3 pillars of project management is defining the scope, defining the budget, and defining the schedule. And if we can get a pretty good handle on those 3 things while we're generating a fee, we can be in okay shape. But if you don't understand one of those 3 aspects and you give a client a fee and they accept it, you are gambling.
Trouble. Yeah. And there's no scope for changes later, even if there is some room, but not like fully overhauling the system. That's why you have to know upfront what are you getting into. That's interesting. And it seems interesting that you've also invested enough in technology in a way that you've set up your systems to automate some of it so that there is a naming convention, there is a version, material, and people are not lagging behind. They know what is there. This is a favorite topic of mine, of course, because my conversations have led me to believe there are still some laggards on paper, and even if not paper, everything is on email. It's not going to work in the long run, not for scaling things for sure. And it's complicated, right? Like, because you're dealing with not just your clients, so many people who are not part of your company even, right? Like that's hard to get hold of. But are you guys using Teams and the overall Slack and Teams, I would guess, for overall collaboration as well? Yeah.
Teams,
Okay.
yeah.